Hello and welcome back to the gold section, and you know you're in there, but also you're in the sparkling gold. I'll come back to that in a second. So well done for clicking again, coming on through, but we're going to look at what you brought through, which was jigsaw number 8, right? And jigsaw number 8 was all about growth, right? So we're going to look at this, but also we've only got 8 minutes to do it, right? So we're going to focus on that too. So in those minutes, right at the end, we also got the car example, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. But also more importantly, is growth right for you, right? Is it important for you at all? Well, I've got a very good understanding of what people feel about this is generally they want the best growth they can get. But the important thing is to understand that growth applies to lots of different things. And we don't want someone just focusing singly on growth and that's it and nothing else. You've got to bring in other elements too, right? So what we're going to do, it's a big part of easy boards, but it's a bit later on. So what that section is, yeah, it's very important for you, but we'll focus on it in a certain way, right? So what we should explain first of all is in the pillar last time there's a question, and the question was all about there's a company out there called NASA, and they have sent something into space and it all went a bit wrong and it sort of collapsed a bit, and it was down to the measurement errors. And what was that all about? Well, it was all about the Mars Climate Orbiter, and because of the measurements that were not quite right, not quite used properly, is that they lost $125 million. So even something as amazing as NASA, just because of the measurement, it's not they just didn't work, they lost money, right? So one you want to focus it on is focus and get it all right as best you can. So we're going to take that further, but also just when you understand something about growth, it relates to lots of different things. So there's so many different things that it relates to from different areas, different topics, but one of the most important things for good growth for me is education. So we're going to get going on this on the big board again, but guess what? I'm with all 3 pens now, so I'm with black, blue and green, and we're going to take it a lot further forward. But you know, when we put a plan together like this, and you know, when I did mine and I had mine in that book with the dividers on it and things, when I first put mine together, I actually, you know, I framed my first sheet because I was like, put it together, and when I look back on it in the years and you know, put it on the wall and stuff like that, I realized after a few years, it's like I couldn't actually believe that I was thinking a certain way, you know, and it's been that evolution of the process that made it work. So in the same with you can do exactly the same thing, but let's just see where we can go with it, right? But also we're going to still do it together because this bit is quite important. So I would normally say, are you ready? But I know you're ready, you're in gold, let's go. So here we go. So the big reminder is we did the time, we did the income and now in the history, but then we looked at the income going forward and the time and age. And then we also said there's actually assets were building up at some point and where are they going, what's going on, but also we wanted to know the tax position and where that is, and then we started measuring things. But also one of the important ones is we want to know about the growth, right? So there's 2 important areas we want to look at. One is when you go all the way back between the date when you started at 25 to 43, there was a change in the asset amount. Now in this example it went up, but it doesn't have to say it went up at all, it's just we want to put a figure for this. Now in that position what we wanted to know was the annual percentage growth in the assets that are in there. Now it could be collected of different things, but we just want to know what's the annual average. It's an important number to work with. So you've got the average annual percentage for that one, and also because we're not in black, we're going to be in blue. We want to take that further forward as well, and if that increases, so you have money to work on later on, we want to know not just the historic number of what it actually was, but what percentage of growth do you want to have going forward from this point every year, right? So leave those 2 there at that point, because guess what? Mr. Checklist wants his answer, but before I just give him his answer, I'm going to include something else which is in green. Same principle applies to your incomes when we go back. So go all the way back to in this example 25, the income went up to the income we get today, but also that was a percentage change too. But also going forward, if your income's going to change as well, that one we want to know too. If that goes up again, what percentage would you have there? Well, if it was level, doesn't matter. But if in that example there was a percentage change from now on, what am I going to do with that difference in the money, right? Okay, I'll come back to it in a sec. But the important part is Mr. Checklist wants to know the big deal. So I'll just get the pen for him. He wants to know two things, which is all about 11, and guess what? It's all about growth, right? So number 1, which is 11A, is the first one he wants, and number 2 in the list is B, which he wants 11, and it's all about 11B. So what we're going to do, we're just going to put those two in the boxes, yeah, and we're going to give him the pen back and yeah, quick salute. Yeah, he's got what he wants again, so what we're going to do is carry on, but also you might be thinking something like this, yeah? But it's completely different, there's nothing wrong with it, it's perfectly normal, but nothing wrong with something that's completely the other side of that, which is someone might think this. And when we're building something together, we want to make sure that we can help as much as possible. So we know that's a normal procedure, but even when you put something together, you're starting to work on that, and we're going to go further because you've got a plan that could actually be very manageable. But also remember, the issue is if you didn't do something like this and you hadn't put that in, and you're focusing on growth when it's there, but it needed to be blended and mixed with other things. So 2 videos ago we worked on the taxation, so even if you got better growth but you weren't as tax efficient, you paid more tax, you might have ended up getting the same net result as somebody else, yeah? So what we're going to do, we're going to focus on that. But look what you've done, you're going to give yourself a big green tick because we're already there, but also you're now going to score this. And I do understand that if we go from red, amber, green, I'm not expecting this necessarily to be plain green. It could be something we need to go back to, because easy boards later on, it's a big deal for those. So when we take this further forward, what we're going to do, we're going to go on the other side and we're going to start building this back in to your element and your jigsaw piece, because we're getting right around the corner in its progression. But also, before I do that, in the pillar, I'm just going to explain to you what these mean. Well, we've got 3 different plants in 3 different pots, red, amber, green. That's what it's about, isn't it? Yeah, well, you know, in more detail, obviously, it's about getting the best growth in a plant in the green one, because that's the idea. You want the best result as possible. But you've got to be careful, because when it's actually dealing with growth in some areas, you need to actually look. It's like growth looking in the mirror, and what looks back at it is risk. And what we've got to make sure is that's all done appropriately for what you're trying to do. So even with that, it's different for different people as well, but we'll come back to it. Because some people like to think things like this, okay, and that's different, but it's not wrong, it's just a different way of doing it. And other people think differently, and they don't think what you just saw, but they might think this, right? And it's different again, but again, not necessarily wrong, we just want to work with it. So when you're dealing with something like that, it's a situation that when you've got the instruments there to do the subject we're recording, we just want to know what those answers are, and we want to learn with it. So in the question in this area, if I say, okay, take the FTSE 100, and what has been the average growth in that in the past 30 years, the average growth in the past 30 years of history, what is it, right? I'll come back to that later, but that's actually just a subject and a fact. So we'll come back to it in the other video, and I'll deal with it there. But the next bit is also, if you know anyone who's planning and using growth and focusing on that, and you think other areas might help them as well, please share with them, because what we're going to do, we're going to take number 8 and we're going to put it in your score plan and see the progression. So I'll see you in a second. Now just give the red a bit of extra help to see if it can move faster. I'll see you in a sec. Right, back to the plan again, and you know what, looks like a bit of a genie actually using that. But anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about number 8, which is all about the growth. The growth, not just looking forward, it was also backwards, and actually getting the exact figure and decided on that. I'm struggling a little bit, so I'm going to score this one as red. So number 8 has got a red score, and that gives it another 0. So I've got 2 of these now, but it doesn't matter, because you know what, also I'm still driving the car. And we've gone through the gold, or we're going through the gold on the other side now. We're turning the corner and we're going to go into number 9. Now, do you remember what number 9 was about? Well, do you know, it's a very important one, and if I didn't have this in the car example, I could have crashed. But also when I'm at home and I'm watching TV, it's all about, if I didn't have one of these things to do what I want to do, I might be very annoyed. So we'll look at number 9 in a bit, and I'll see you soon.